Hi there, and welcome back to Layered Wisdom, the show where I try and impart wisdom one layer at a time. Today, I'm going to take you through a journey. We're going to start with a need, and we're going to go all the way through discovering what we can do, finding a print, loading that print up onto a printer, and actually printing it, and then taking a look at the end product. So let's see how it goes. So here are the steps that we're going to follow. The first step is figure out what we need. What's something that would be useful for us or something that we'd like to have that we could print? The second thing is to find a workable model. We'll go online to MakerWorld, one of the main sites for finding models, and search through and find one that we like. The third thing is to then take that model and load it into our software for our printer. The next is really what I think is the most fun part of this, and that's picking out what filament you want. What do you need as far as strength? What do you want as far as color or features? We're going to modify the settings if we need to in the software, and then we hit the print button and watch it as it prints. When it's all done, we take it off and we use it for what we thought we wanted it for. Okay, there's one thing I wanted to add at this point. If anywhere along in this video you get to somewhere and you think, I don't have a clue what you just did, I don't understand, I don't know what you're talking about, don't panic. It's my intent to go and make another set of videos for each one of these steps. So for right now, just watch it. Don't worry about trying to follow along and do it yourself. Just look to see what the process itself is like. So here I am another day in the studio, and I'm trying to think of things that I could use personally for someone that's like my age, for example. And I came up with one because of this. Now, here's something that I have trouble with and I'm looking for some help with, and that's these blister packs, which are just a real pain. Try and pop that pull out, and I just don't have the strength to do that. So let's go ahead and print a pill popper. Yeah, I like that. Pill popper. So here I am, and I've opened up Bamboo Studio because I'm going to print this particular item on my Bamboo A1. Later on, we'll print something on the Elegoo. So I've opened it up and I've gone here to the home button, which opens up their MakerWorld location, which is where they have all of their models. So let's go ahead and search for pill popper. Kind of a dangerous thing to search for, don't you think? And they've got several out here, but I like this particular one, and I'm going to open this one up. And this looks like one that we can use. And notice this little warning here that says, please clean your bed before printing. Well, I'm going to take that to heart and do that. But in the meantime, let's just go ahead and open up that print. And here you can see, here's the print on the print bed here in Bamboo Studio. Now, like I said, we're going to go over all of the things about these software packages in another video. But for right now, just to point out the main things, first of all, there is the printer that this is set for. There is the bed or the plate that this is set for. This is the nozzle that is set. And then here are all of the filaments that were in place for this printer at the time when whoever created this saved this file. Well, we need to do a couple of things in order to be able to print it. The first thing that we're going to do is switch to the Bamboo A1 because that's the printer that we have. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to connect to our printer and synchronize the filaments that are on the AMS. Now, if I go here to this device tab and I connect into Bambi here, and I can take a look and I can see that on my AMS, I've got some filaments in place. And probably the one that would be easy enough to use is this Elegoo PLA mat that I have. And again, we got a whole nother video about filaments that you can watch.
So that's one we'll use. So now we'll go back here and we'll say, let's just go ahead and synchronize the filament list. Yeah, don't worry about saving anything. And we're going to overwrite the existing one because we only got 4 spots. So we can synchronize now. Now what it did, of course, is it put it in with the wrong filament. It's got this pet G in yellow. And we want this to be the elegant white. So we're going to go ahead and just click on it and right click and go down here and say change filament. Change it to the LED matte. So now I've got this particular item set in the filament that I want. And now the next step is to slice the plate. Now this is the magic of 3D printers. You're wondering, how does it go from getting this model, this 3D model, into something that is an actual physical item? And the magic is something called a slicer. What a slicer does is it goes in and it takes a look at your model and it figures out how we can create that model by laying down filament one layer at a time. In fact, if you look here in the preview window, I've got these little sliders over here where I can slide up and down and I can see what it looks like at each layer as the filament is printing. And in fact, if I want to get really detailed, I can go over to this bottom one, which actually walks through just exactly as if the printer was printing it. So you can see what it's going to do to print all of that first layer. One thing that we need to do first, as the designer of the model said, is we need to give our plate a wash. Now, there's a reason why we do this. And here I'm just using some hot water and good old Dawn dish soap. Just put a little squirt on there and give it a good rub. The idea behind this is to get off any fingerprints or oil or any residue of filament from our previous prints. If you do this, and you do this fairly often, you'll have a much less hassle with filament not sticking to the plate. And filament not sticking to the plate is probably one of the things that is most problematic for people that are just starting out. Well, it's problematic for everybody that's printing because stuff doesn't stick, your prints get ruined. All right, I've got the plate back on the printer. I've got my file all queued up and I'm ready to hit that print button. All right, now that this print has finished, we'll go ahead and take it off the build plate and figure out what to do next. Hey, I wanted to take a minute here to explain something that I'm going to show you in just a moment. And that has to do with the supports that are going to get printed. And the reason why we need supports is if you take a look at this model here, you'll see that there are areas of the model where there is an overhang. So for example, right here on this popper part, there's an overhang. So if the printer tried to print there, it's just going to be sending filament out into midair, which doesn't really work. The filament just drops to the plate or it makes a really big cloud of filament and it just messes up your print. And the same thing is going to happen over here on this opening where there is this overhang. And again, when the printer tries to print that, it will just drop the filament onto the print and make a mess. So what we need to do is we need to have supports. And for the most part, when you have a slicer, it will detect when it needs to have supports and it will go ahead and add them for you. So I did that here, and now when I slice the model, you can see that it added these little plastic trees in that support the inside. So that's what you're going to see here when we go to take them off. Okay, so you can see that I've got the pill popper off of the print bed. And you can see here, I've got the supports that are in place so that the printer is able to print where there is an overhang. Now, the way that these are set up is that they are pretty easy to remove. I'm just going to go in here with a pliers and just pull that one right off, and then pull this one off. Do in here a little bit to get this out, and inside. That one's a little bit more tricky to get out than I thought. But still, once you get a hold of them, these tree supports come out pretty cleanly. And there I have my pill popper ready to go. Well, here's my new device that I've got. And the way this works is I just line it up, put it right over the pill, press down, and it conveniently pops the pill right into the container in the pill popper. All right, so here we are. We have finished our print. So we've gone from the idea of something that we need, pill popper for these little babies, through the process of setting it up, putting it on the printer, taking it off the printer, doing a little work to clean it up, and getting the finished product. So I hope that's worth a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you next time.